Hi dear Aries, welcome to my YouTube channel, and in this video I'm going to talk about the transits for the month of December. December should be relatively peaceful because we don't have any eclipses this month, and it's been like a month and a half since the last eclipse, and so that means the dust has settled from those eclipses and we will have relative stability until like the next eclipse, which is in March. Okay, and the only big thing that we have in December is Mercury retrograde. It causes misunderstandings, transportation issues, delays, like confusion, uh, getting lost more than often, forgetting things at home. Or if you buy electronics during Mercury retrograde, it will turn out that it malfunctions, so you have to like return it or exchange it and stuff like that. So what I wanted to tell was, if you are thinking of buying some electronics as presents for Christmas, I would say buy it in December. Okay, if you are watching this in November, please do it ASAP, because we will enter December in the shadow zone. It's not really recommended during the shadow zone as well, but you can technically buy it in December. So if you do have to buy it in December, make sure you keep the receipt, or make sure you can exchange it or return it later on. Okay, so let's begin with the transits. In December, we have Pluto in the latest degree of Capricorn. It will leave Capricorn in January. Okay, so in about a month. So this means Pluto will be making a square to Aries who were born around April 18th, April 17th, 18th, and 19th. And the thing about Pluto transits is that we feel it when it's making an exact aspect to our planet, because it's such a slow-moving planet. And the thing is, you've already experienced this square earlier this year. I think it was in like June, I believe, or May. You had Pluto squaring your Sun. And that one was during retrograde, so it must have been harsh. But this time, Pluto is direct, so it's going over those degrees again. And usually, when we are experiencing harsh transits like this one, Pluto square, yeah, we experience it. What was I gonna say? It's most harsh. It's harshest when it's making a square during retrograde. So when it's making a direct aspect, it shouldn't be as bad as it was in the summer of 2023. Does that make sense? I feel like I got lost a little bit while explaining. Now, another thing is, so after Pluto, we have Neptune. Neptune is currently transiting your 12th house. It's been in there for a decade. So whether you really realize it or not, you've probably been more spiritual, or like reviewing your spiritual side. Like again, because Neptune is a slow-moving planet, we feel it only when it's making an exact planet. So those of you, those Aries who have planets in Pisces, like let's say your Mercury or your Venus, then you are going to feel the Neptune transit. Okay, Neptune can be like dissolving, dissolution, confusion. So if you're feeling going through stuff like that, you may need to check your horoscope and to see if you have any planets in the late degrees of Pisces, around like 26th degree, 25th degree, 2 or 3 degrees around that. Okay, now after Neptune we have Uranus. Uranus is currently in Taurus, which means it's in your second house, dear Aries. It's been in there for 5 years, since early 2019, and it still has 2 more years in Taurus. So for the past 5 years, you've been kind of like modernizing your finances, I guess, because Uranus is everything like futuristic. It's very progressive. So when it visits your financial house, it probably infused some Aries with interest in stuff like Bitcoin. That's very Uranus in Taurus, because Bitcoin is like technology, right? And money is Taurus. So yeah, a lot of you probably became more interested in things like that. If you don't invest in like Bitcoin and stuff, like you probably started becoming more interested in like alternative ways of investing, or getting your own personal finances in order, like learning more about finances. I know as Aries we are terrible with finances, like we are very impulsive, but During this time, it's great to learn about those financial matters, financial knowledge, especially because currently we have Jupiter in Taurus as well. Jupiter, you know, it expands minds. It's a planet associated with knowledge and with wisdom. So it's a great time until like next May to learn about your finances, how to save, how to budget, and stuff like that. If like those of you who work, you can expect like good times financially, because you know Jupiter, the biggest planet in the solar system, is in your financial house. So Jupiter, it expands wherever it is, whatever it touches. So yeah, some Aries might get a raise. I'm expecting a raise, but we're still waiting for the district to negotiate the contract and stuff. So you get the idea, I hope. And now, after Uranus, we have Saturn. Saturn is currently in Pisces. Yeah, Saturn for you, dear Aries, that's your 12th house. 12th house is the house of spirituality. And as you can see, look at the world. Like, no comment. Like, things, karmic stuff based on religious beliefs happening right now in the world. Like, I'm not gonna get into details, but like for you Aries, spiritually, like Saturn is kind of like bringing an order into your spiritual house. Like karmic undoing, like maybe secretly you are undoing some parts of your karmic lessons, I guess, letting go, because 12th house is a house of dissolution and Saturn is karma. Yeah, so after Saturn we have Jupiter, but I've already talked about Jupiter along with Uranus. And after that we have the inner planets, and I'm going to talk about them now, okay, in the next part of the video. So let's begin. On December 1st, Mercury enters Capricorn until February 5th. As you can see, Mercury is going to spend a long time in Capricorn. I mean, it's going to slide back into Sagittarius during retrograde, but still, the majority of this transit is going to be in Capricorn. So be prepared. So Mercury retrograde, it's like infamously confusing time. Like during the last Mercury retrograde, which happened in like at the end of August and early September, it was so horrible. Like I got lost a lot. I moved to another city around that time, and I got lost so much. Like I couldn't figure out the schedule of like buses or I mean like trains. And I had to stay at a hotel because of some confusion. I apparently didn't read the fine print, and apparently I could have taken that train to go home every day instead of staying at a hotel. But I stayed at a hotel and spent like $400 maybe. And later when I realized, I was so mad, and that was all because of Mercury retrograde. It makes us very confused, very foggy, it fogs up our mind, okay? For some, Mercury retrograde is not that confusing, but it depends. Like if it makes an aspect to your personal planets, or if you have, or if you are ruled by Mercury, let's say you have Gemini rising or Virgo rising, yes, you are going to feel this transit. Okay, but generally speaking, like Mercury retrograde is a very confusing time. Like, not like confusing, but like you get lost, you forget things. I kept forgetting things during the last Mercury retrograde, so just be aware. Okay, it's not a really long retrograde. It's gonna last from when December 13th until January 1st. So those 3 weeks are the Mercury retrograde times, but still we have the shadow period after that and before that. So just be aware. When you are aware, it's kind of like easier to deal with it. In the summer, when I kept forgetting things, when I kept getting lost, I knew, I'm like, this is Mercury retrograde. It's going to be over in a few days or like in a week or two. Yeah, so awareness helps. And again, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you need to buy expensive electronics as a present, like make sure you keep the receipt, or make sure there is a way for you to return it or exchange it if it malfunctions, okay? Next, on December 3rd, Libra Venus is going to make a square to Pluto in Capricorn. Now this one is like, I feel like it's financial tension, I guess, because for you Aries, Venus is in your seventh house, house of relationships, and Pluto is in your 10th house, a very public house. But this is a very short-lived transit. So on that day, December 3rd, or around like one day plus or minus, might be like financial or about relationships. Maybe there are things that you are ignoring and then you finally explode. Yeah, because Pluto is like, I don't know, volcanic energy, and Venus, relationships. So, yeah. Um, on December 4th, Venus is going to leave Libra and enter Scorpio until December 29th. And so, Aries, for you, this is your 8th house. Intimacy gets deeper, I guess, because Venus is relationships, and 8th house is a very deep psychological house. It's a house of intimacy. It's where we share things, like literally, like finances, bodily liquids, and stuff like that. It sounds disgusting, but literally, that's what 8th house is. Yeah, and next. On December 5th, we have the last quarter moon in Virgo, which means we will have like 4-5 days after this, after December 5th, where not much happens because the moon is getting smaller and smaller day by day. So it doesn't make sense to start new things with the moon decreasing. That's why we start new things during new moon, because the moon will grow with it, okay, symbolically speaking. It sounds weird to correlate things, events on Earth with like the shape of the moon, but it really does work. It's crazy. Try to observe it. You will notice that you will start receiving news 4 days before a new moon, like each month. Yeah, like for example, my parents moved to another apartment today, and we have a full moon in like 4 days. So things like that happen like 4 days before new moon or 4 days after. So 4 days plus or minus new moon or full moon. Next. After December 4th, December 5th until December 10th, I would say it's a great time to like recharge your batteries, finish up the things that started with the new moon in November, and start preparing things for the upcoming new moon. Okay, it's like a great time to fill out applications and mail them so that they are delivered by the time of the new moon, or like you wait for some announcement, decision, and you can expect those to come around the new moon. Next, on December 6th, Neptune is going to station direct on the 24th degree of Pisces. Yeah, and so Neptune, because it's like an outer planet, its influence is very subtle. Like we barely feel it. So since this is in your 12th house, so something in spiritual matters, so like intuition, dreams. 12th house is also associated with like immigration too, because it used to be associated with Jupiter. Like 9th house is more like traveling and like expanding your mind, but 12th house is when you are abroad and you are like stuck there, that kind of, or when you permanently immigrate to another place. That's 12th house energy. And so Neptune stationing direct there, it might mean that things related to 12th house matters start moving forward. Next, and finally, on December 12th, we have a new moon in Sagittarius, on the 20th degree of Sagittarius. And so, for you, Aries, this is your 9th house. And it's a very global house, like where you have a wide outlook on life, on the world. That's where our personal beliefs are, our worldview. That's very 9th house. So a new moon is going to happen in there. Some of you, if you are thinking of going on a vacation, this will be a great time. Okay, so after this new moon in the middle of December, like December 12th, it's a great time for that. And for others, it can be a time when you feel like experimenting with new cuisines. Okay, you don't have to travel too far. You can experience different cultures from where you are. If you live in a big city. Okay, or if you live in a place where there aren't many diverse restaurants, it might be a time when you feel like watching foreign movies, or when you feel like, immersing yourself in another culture, or philosophical books, yeah, like learning, taking courses. That's also their ninth house. Okay, some, I don't know, like if a teenager is watching this, it might be a time when you receive an application. You receive an acceptance letter from university. Yes, that's what I meant. Those of you who are graduating in December, that's indicative of that, okay? Because Sagittarius is associated with higher learning, higher education. And another thing, interestingly, Sagittarius is also associated with like jurisdiction, lawyers to some extent. So if you are waiting for stuff like that, like maybe your passport, renewing your passport, you might receive those around December 12th. Or maybe you applied for a visa and now you're going to get it, okay? So everything immigration related, travel related, that's Sagittarius stuff. Next, on December 13th, Mercury is going to station retrograde at the 8th degree Capricorn. So usually Mercury retrograde, it is at its peak confusing around the time it stations retrograde. So just be aware, okay? Middle of December, you can start feeling Mercury's tricks. Yeah, pranks. Next, on December 21st, we have winter solstice. Sun enters Capricorn, the longest day of the year, and finally the days will start getting longer, even though it's like tiny bit, like day by day. Okay, so I find winter solstice optimistic because of that. Next, so by the way, when Sun enters Capricorn, that means it enters your 10th house. 10th house is the house of career, achievement, your life purpose, your social status, okay? And you experience this transit every year, so nothing like major. Next, on December 23rd, Mercury is going to re-enter Sagittarius. Yeah, so those Aries who were born in late degrees of Aries, you're going to experience that trine from Sagittarius Mercury. And what else? Ooh, like I feel like I didn't talk about that Mercury retrograde. So Mercury retrograde is going to start retrograding in your 10th house. 10th house is the house of career, your job, okay? So there might be some things that you will be reviewing or doing things redoing things at work, something work related. And then it's going to slip back, Mercury is going to slip back into Sagittarius. So from work stuff, it's going to go back to like philosophical stuff, like that legal immigration stuff. What else? Like documents, like think of it in that way, not necessarily immigration. But I hope you get the idea. Next, on December 26th, we have a full moon in Cancer, on the 4th degree of Cancer. So Aries, that means your 10th house and 4th house are going to be lit up by the luminaries. The sun is going to be shining in on the top of your chart, and moon will be full in your 4th house. So Cancer rules the 4th house. So this full moon in its own house, it's important. So some culmination, some achievement, maybe some news regarding your parents, because 4th house and 10th house represent parents in our lives, okay? And so full moon is usually the time of culminations, achievement, fulfillment, what else? Illumination, some clarity about something. So yeah, and also for you Aries, 4th house is a house of home, the place you live at. So maybe some Aries will decide to move around this full moon. Yeah, and start the new year in a new apartment perhaps, or like maybe you were working on something around the house and by the time of this new moon you finish working on that, or maybe it will be revealed that there is some issue that you need to work on. Do you get what I mean? That's the energy of full moon. And then on the same day as the full moon, Chiron stations direct in Aries, okay, on the 15th degree of Aries, so like right in the middle of Aries. Those Aries who were born when, like April 5th maybe, around that date, you are going to feel this station direct. But yeah, Chiron is a minor planet. Like, it's not even a planet, it's like an asteroid. Um, and it's associated with healing, okay? And wounds. Like, isn't that weird? Like, contradictory, wounds and healing at the same time. It's called like the wise healer. Was that it? Was that it? Yeah, okay, anyway. So, because in mythology, Chiron was wounded and it could never heal its own wound, it got a lot of wisdom, so he could heal others because of it. So, yeah. And so, when Chiron transits our sign, it's like helping heal our ego wounds. Okay, because Aries is our first house, and generally Aries is associated with ego, with this awareness of I, me. So we are healing that, I guess. Even though, like, I don't know, like, I don't really feel this Chiron. I guess we don't feel it unless it makes like a tight conjunction with some planet. So if you have a planet around the 15th degree of Aries, then you're going to feel it. And then on December 29th, Venus is going to enter Sagittarius until January 23rd, 2024. So Venus in Sagittarius, that gives that very Bohemian style, yeah, like traveler kind of. But anyway, so Venus is love, and it's going to enter your adventurous house. Yeah, so flirting with foreigners maybe, because Venus flirtation, ninth house, Sagittarius is very much foreigners and stuff. Um, yeah, so I mean, Venus is a relatively fast-moving planet. It's going to spend 3 weeks in there, and so I hope you guys have a fun Venus in Sagittarius transit. And if you do travel around that date, like after December 29th, while Venus is in Sagittarius, you might travel to a beautiful place, because Venus is beautiful. Whatever she touches is beautiful. And so next, and finally, on December 30th, Jupiter stations direct on the 5th degree of Taurus. Okay, so that means we will only have 2 planets left in retrograde, and I think in January or February we will have all planets direct, and that's when all the fun will begin. But still, it's good to have like as few planets in retrograde as possible. Okay, but because of that Mercury retrograde, which is a personal planet, we might feel this retrograde feeling in our daily lives. It's going to affect our daily lives, so be prepared. Dear Aries, I hope you have a wonderful December. I hope Mercury doesn't screw you guys over too much. Okay, and happy new upcoming year, and I hope those of you who celebrate Christmas have a wonderful Christmas. Okay, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and if you would like a reading, like you can email me or leave a comment. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.